evening and welcome to the June 15th Clearwater City Council meeting. If you would please rise for the invocation for the Reverend Norma Fontaine Filbert from Garden of Grace Ministries, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity. Psalm 91. Those who live in the shelter of the Most High will find rest in the shadow of the Almighty. This I declare about the Lord. He alone is my refuge, my place of safety. He is my God, and I trust in him. For he will rescue you from every trap and protect you from every deadly disease. He will cover you with his feathers. He will shelter you with his wings. His faithful promises are your armor and your protection. Do not be afraid of the terrors of the night, nor the arrow that flies in the day. Do not dread the disease that stalks in darkness, nor disaster that strikes at midday. Though 1,000 fall at your side, and though 10,000 are dying around you, these evils will not touch you. Just open your eyes and see how the wicked are punished. If you make the Lord your refuge, if you make the Most High your shelter, no evil will conquer you, no plague will come near your dwelling. For he will give his angels charge over you to protect you wherever you go. They will hold you up in their hands so you will not hurt your foot against a stone. You will trample upon the lions and the cobras. You will crush fierce lions and serpents under your feet. Here's what the Lord says. I will rescue those who love me. I'll protect those who trust in my name. When they call upon me, I will answer. I'll be with them in trouble. I'll rescue and honor them. I'll reward them with long life and give them my salvation. Let us pray. Father, we come before you in the mighty name of Jesus, and we thank you, dear God, for this day you've given to us. This is your day. We rejoice and we are glad in it. We thank you, dear God, for your servants that you have appointed to rule this city. God, we thank you, dear God, for the opportunity for them to be your hands and your feet. Now, Lord, we humbly seek more wisdom for them. Your word declares, if any man lacks wisdom, let him ask of God. We pray for wisdom and protection over them, Father God. We pray that all that they do will be blessed and that you will be glorified in the city. Now, Lord, have your way in this meeting. May all we say and do bring honor and glory to you. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Reverend Fontaine Filbert. We appreciate that. Anyone this evening who wishes to speak to the council, either on items not on the agenda or on agenda items, please fill out a card and hand it back to the clerk. And then when your time comes, please turn the card in when you come back up. Okay. Introductions. My far right is City Manager Jen Poirier.
Good evening.
Next to her is Councilmember Kathleen Beckman.
Good evening.
Next to her is our Vice Mayor Mark Bunker.
Good evening.
To my immediate left is Councilmember Lena Teixeira.
Good evening.
Next to her is Councilmember David Albritton.
Good evening.
And next to him is our City Attorney David Margolis.
Good evening.
Okay, we have some service awards tonight. There is one service award, the Employee of the Month of June 2023. We'll have Catherine Corcoran from Public Works. Please come forward.
Good evening. Catherine has made an impact to the community in some way every day that she comes to work. She's helped recruit people to judge the Future Cities Challenge. Future Cities is a competition where middle school students imagine, research, design, and build cities for the future that showcase their solution to a citywide sustainable issue. Catherine presented at this competition and also helped judge the event. She's done this competition for multiple years now. She has also helped to present, teach, and inform other members and citizens of the community on a variety of topics. Catherine is also one of the members of a group of employees that, on their breaks, don their safety vests and pick up trash on their 15-minute walk. What a great supporter of our community. In the words of a coworker, it's been a pleasure to work with her on a vast variety of different city projects. Thank you, Catherine, for your continued efforts to keep Clearwater the bright and beautiful city it is from Bay to Beach.
Congratulations. Well deserved.
Catherine has been working extra hard getting Imagining Their Coachman Park ready. She's been out there leading the charge with her hard hat on all the time, so she's done a heck of a job and been very busy because some mayor didn't want to get up at 5 o'clock for the news media, so she went out and did it instead. So I appreciate that. All right, we have Clearwater Library celebrates citizenship. Can we have Meredith Kambic from the East Library Branch Manager please come forward?
Good evening, Mayor,
Good evening.
Council, and City Manager. My name is Meredith Kambic. I'm the branch manager of the Clearwater East Community Library, and thank you so much for having us here tonight. Libraries not only provide books, but also important community resources. These resources can often have a life-changing impact. One great example of this is the Library Citizenship Program. In partnership with the Literacy Council of Upper Pinellas, the Clearwater East Community Library has offered our citizenship program since 2012. This program was created to help patrons prepare for the U.S. Naturalization Interview and Test. In addition to weekly classes focusing on U.S. history and government, students of this program are also given civic flashcards, workbooks, and opportunities to practice reading and writing skills. Once an interview is scheduled, the citizenship tutors also provide mock interviews to better help students prepare for the exam. And we are happy to announce that so far this year, 7 students have become new citizens. And since the program's creation in 2012, we've had 43. Before I introduce some of our new citizens, I'd like to take this opportunity to give special thanks to our fantastic citizenship tutors, Bob Cruz, and Nancy McCarthy. Also, the Literacy Council of Upper Pinellas' president, Dr. Pat Bauer. And Claudia Gonzalez, the East Library's Hispanic Outreach Coordinator. This program is a huge success thanks to their hard work and dedication. So now I would like to have Claudia introduce some of our citizens.
Jenny Rivera, Flor Rodriguez, Sofía Castillo, Vicente Huerta, Denise Melendez, Joanny Ramírez, Fanny Sánchez, Iliana Krasnokuskara, Emily Boltor, Jose Madrid Arenas, Mary Jonan, Malcolm Berlo, Victoria Leon, and Henny Matt.
And also, last but not least, we also have Belen Rubin. Belen is a senior library assistant at the East Library branch and has been with the City of Clearwater for 9 years. Belen has been attending our citizenship program during her lunch break and passed her exam last month. I'd like to thank the council and city leadership for allowing us to celebrate our students, especially leading up to 4th of July. For many of our students, this will be their first 4th of July as U.S. citizens. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to you. Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. Thank you for what you did.
Thank you for the support of Clearwater, really.
Thank you.
Oh, my God.
Appreciate
It'd be nice and
Congratulations again to all and to the dedicated employees and people that make this happen. Great job. We appreciate that very much. Okay, we have a proclamation. If Melinda Perry from Hope Village of America would come forward, I'll read the proclamation for Hunger Awareness Month. Whereas food insecurity is a lack of consistent access to enough food for every person in a household to live an active, healthy life, and can be a temporary situation for an individual or family, or can last for a long time. And 1 in 4 children across the Tampa Bay area are food insecure, exceeding the national average, and many seniors often have to choose between food and medical care. And whereas Hope Villages of America is committed to combating hunger and food insecurity in every part of our community and providing resources to individuals and families need, and whereas Hope Villages of America distributes more than 6 million pounds of food to our neighbors in need each year with the help of its generous funders, volunteers, and local partner agencies, and whereas Hope Villages of America has provided hope restoration with dignity to those in need through innovative programs and services for more than 50 years. Now therefore, I, Brian Unk, Senior Mayor of the City of Clearwater, Florida, on behalf of the Clearwater City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2023 to be Hunger Awareness Month in Clearwater. I'm going to take a tour in July. We scheduled that today, I think. Thank you. See you again. Okay, if we could have Giovanni Scott from the Clearwater Urban League Coalition come forward. If Giovanni, here he is. Okay, I'm going to read the proclamation for Juneteenth. Whereas people from all nations make up our country who have been declared equal rights in justice, life, and the pursuit of happiness, and whereas the Emancipation Proclamation made the permanent abolition of slavery a Union war aim and provided the legal framework for the emancipation of nearly all 4 million slaves as the Union armies advanced, on June 19, 1865, almost 2.5 years later, Major General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, and announced the end of both the Civil War and slavery. And whereas Texans began the celebration of Juneteenth in 1866, and is the oldest celebration of the ending of slavery in the United States, and whereas on June 17, 2021, President Biden signed legislation on making Juneteenth a federal holiday, enshrining June 19th as the national day to commemorate the end of slavery in the United States. And whereas the City of Clearwater embraces and observes the national holiday celebrating African American culture and will continue to honor and champion the inclusion and diversity throughout the city. Now therefore, I, Brian Unk, Senior, Mayor of the City of Clearwater, Florida, on behalf of the Clearwater City Council, do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2023 to be Juneteenth in Clearwater, and we encourage all residents and visitors to celebrate this true expression of freedom and this country's value of freedom for all, and continue to honor the African American communities, which are now a vital part of our country.
Good evening to each of you. On behalf of the Clearwater Urban Leadership Coalition, I've been asked to thank those of you on the council, you, Mayor Unks, for this acknowledgement of Juneteenth. Tonight, as some of you know, and to the residents of Clearwater, our Juneteenth celebration has begun with a painting with a purpose at Arts for Life Academy. Tomorrow night at the Buccaneer Field, Walter C. Campbell Field, there will be a movie night beginning at 6:30. And then Saturday, there's a show that I hear some of you are supposed to partake in, a fashion show. And then Sunday, it will climax with a Father's Day gospel experience. And so to each of you in the City of Clearwater for allowing this 4-day experience to take place, on behalf of the Urban Leadership Coalition, we extend our sincere thanks to each of you. Thank you.
I can't believe I didn't get in the fashion show.
Glad I didn't get asked. Thank you. Everybody on the left opposed. Okay, do we have an approval of the minutes from our previous council meeting?
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous, thank you. Okay, now time for citizens to be heard regarding items that are not on this evening's agenda, not on the agenda. Please come forward. Hello.
Sorry about this. Okay. I hadn't really planned on coming, but I just want to clarify.
Please give your name
Okay, my
for the
name is
record.
Kathy Flaherty, and I'm here tonight to talk about Stevenson's Creek and some water discharge in the creek, some reclaimed water. Basically, I did a complaint to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection about some water I saw being discharged, and they sent me a letter on June 7th that basically said replacing the entire irrigation system at the country club needed to be done and was going to be done. So I came last week to present that, and Art Crater, the director, basically got it, and he said that the country club was going to be responsible for all repairs and capital improvements. I don't agree with that. So a few definitions. A permanent fixture means a structure or something plumbed for water circulation. Water is H2O. All right, incidental repairs. Those are repairs for effective performance, to preserve something like painting a building or fixing a roof. All right. Capital improvements are improvements for something that's useful life of 5 years or more. That's like the irrigation system. Those things last 25, 35 years. All right. So I asked again after the meeting for Art to clarify what he meant. And so he came back and he said that irrigation repairs were part of permanent improvements and they're part of the water system. Water systems are drinking water. You guys must understand that if you guys are going to repair the irrigation system, there are two separate systems. Water and irrigation are different ones. So let's look at the contract and see what you have to do for the irrigation, or they did. First off, this was done in 2011, this first contract, and it was with a managed company. A managed company means there's probably a board over the manager. We don't know who that board is. That would be a good thing to know who is running the golf course, actually. Now, he used clause 10 about permanent improvements. So those are, as you can see, water systems. Okay, but it does go on to say that the city parks and director shall do a capital improvement program schedule with the company that's overseeing all this, okay? So here is, guess what? A capital improvement schedule in the contract, okay? Here we go. The number one thing, it says renovate the irrigation system. This is what they are supposed to do. This is a conditional precedent for them to get the contract. They are supposed to, on year one, renovate the golf course for $100,000, okay? That's the only thing in the whole thing about irrigation. That's it. The rest is to repair the greens. They were supposed to do the parking lot. But the parking lot, you can see, this is as of today, the aerial is still a bad parking lot, but it has been done. So they just did the parking lot. That was supposed to be done back in 2010, all right? So they got 10 more years because they did such a good job. All right? Capital improvements
Thank you, Ms.
are
Flaherty.
the city's
Thank you.
responsibility.
Anyone else on items not on tonight's agenda? Anyone else?
Hi, Lisa Lanza. I just want to follow up on the idea of the contracts and this, and the whether the Parks Department should review these contracts that we have with the various golf courses and the recreation facilities around the city. It seems like they are citizens, and it would be a good, I'm not sure if it's in their mission statement, but I think it would be good to have the citizens have an eye on the contracts. I've looked over some of them myself. I've requested them, and I've looked them over, and I've tried to engage other people, not because we're looking for trouble. It's just nice to know what's going on, and we have ideas. And we're about, making things better. There's always opportunity for improvement. That's one of my last careers, trust but verify, and opportunities for improvement. So that's always my goal, and I'm very passionate about it, maybe sometimes too passionate. But I would love to see the Parks and Recreation Committee or Board look at some of these contracts. Chi-Chi's, got how many minutes, 1.51? Let's see, we got the Phillies, maybe not the Phillies, that's kind of probably out of the purview. But the Phillies Union, because they're using Joe DiMaggio, and I don't know, I won't list them all, I'm drawing a blank right now, but there's quite a few, and I'd look them over, and I think it would be good if the board did too. Thank you.
Anyone else on items not on the agenda?
Hi, my name is Wayne Carruthers, and I live in Clearwater. And what brings me here tonight is my house. I live on 1475 Excalibur Drive. It's a beautiful street. I've been there almost 30 years now. 3 years ago, my neighbor next door sold out, and Scientologists moved in. And they're good people. We get along with them real well. There's no problem there. The problem is they sold a house next to that house to the Scientologists. And this guy is not a good guy. So what he's done, he bought this house 2 years ago. He gutted it out. The roof is a mess. The yard hasn't been cut in 2 years. He's got heavy-duty construction equipment parked in the front that hasn't been moved in weeks. He's got construction materials in the garage, in the driveway with tarps and work lockers all over the place. Code enforcement has been called out many times, so this is nothing new. But I think they've given up. So my wife and other neighbors, recently we've been calling code enforcement. They're pretty nice. They called City Hall, or they called the permitting department a couple of times. They were kind of rude and rough. And both departments said that if you don't give them your name, phone number, address, and a blood print, they're not going to come out and look. Okay, that seems odd to me because I was on the code board here for 9 years, and our inspectors would come out on a tip. So that kind of bothers me. So I did a little research and I found out that that came from the state town. And I hope you guys are pushing back, because when you killed, or you award the criminal and you hurt the whistleblower, you're not gonna get a lot of complaints. I mean, our communities, our older communities are starting to look terrible. They really are. So I brought a picture of, this guy needs to be investigated. This is a safety hazard. So I don't know if safety hazards apply to that state law. I would like one of you to call me. I got all the information here. Come to my house, and for 10 minutes, I'll give you a tour. I'll even give you a bottle of water. That's pretty much all I have to say. But this is really terrible. You know, if you drive around to our communities, our older communities, you'll see this everywhere. These people, I don't know anything about the Scientologists, but this guy right here thinks he's above compliance, and he's not. We all have to comply. So I wish you would spend some time. I'd show this to you. I don't know. It's black and white. I don't know.
The other way.
Anything,
The other way. All right, Mr. Carruthers, someone will get, I promise you somebody will get back to you on this.
Okay. Hey, another thing too, I really love what I just saw here. Swearing in citizens and feeding people.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Mr. Carruthers.
Thank you for your
All right, we'll have someone get back to you. Anyone else on items not on the agenda? Anyone else?
I'm Mr. Aruba. Mr. Hibbard used to introduce me. Ms. Poirier.
Have you seen me introduce anybody that comes up?
Don't speak when I'm speaking, sir.
Yep, I'll speak whenever I feel like
Ms.
it.
Poirier.
In my meeting.
Where is our recycling refund? There's no update on the agenda either. And I guess we're just supposed to eat that like all of the overcharges on Clearwater utilities. And it's interesting to talk about, food insecurity, but there are seniors in this community that have to choose between food, medicine, and paying Clearwater utilities. At least Safety Harbor and Belleair told you in the city of Clearwater to jump in the lake, recycling-wise. Now, Ms. Beckman has purchased an email list that she used to send out her quote-unquote newsletter. It's just another device to draw attention to herself, which would indicate, Ms. Beckman, that you are a narcissist. Ms. Beckman, you think that the government is the answer to everybody's needs and wants, and I find that offensive. You promote an entitlement society that I believe is very wrong-headed. So I'm going to stand here, Ms. Beckman, and suggest, rather than run for mayor, do us all a favor and just run away. And take that double-dipper Eric Gandy with you. Now, I wasn't going to show this, but since I've been challenged, this was sent to me. And you can take plenty of time and read that. It's a definition of you, Mr. Ongst.
Look in the mirror, Mr. Lubin. Anyone else?
Mayor, Council, I'm Bill Johnson, 2694 Redford Court. Just want to share some good news with you. The Public Communications Department over the last several months has created a hearing impaired coil system in this room, so I can hear all of you and the speaker here well. I encourage you to encourage your hearing impaired friends to use that when you're in this room. And thank you for providing that.
Our pleasure. Thank you. Anyone else on items not on the agenda? Okay, let's move on. The consent agenda, 7.1 through 7.4. Any items to be pulled from the consent tonight? If not, do we have a motion?
Move to approve items 7.1 through 7.4.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Second readings, 8.1.
Mayor, good evening. We have first up is ordinance number 9675-23, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, repealing section 21.12 Code of Ordinances relating to the offense of prostitution, providing an effective date.
Anyone from the public want to speak to this item? Not, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve agenda item 8.1.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. 8.2, please.
Next up is ordinance number 9676-23, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, repealing Chapter 21, Article 2 of the Code of Ordinances relating to the registration of ex-convicts, providing an effective date.
Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak to this item? If not, do we have a motion?
Move to approve agenda item 8.2.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. 8.3, please.
Next up is ordinance number 9677-23, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, repealing section 21.20 of the Code of Ordinances relating to the offense of sitting or lying down in the Clearwater Downtown Core Redevelopment Zone, the Gateway Corridor, and the Clearwater Beach Core Tourist Zone, providing an effective date.
Is there anyone who would like to speak to this item? If not, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve agenda item 8.3.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. 8.4, please.
Next up is ordinance number 9678-23, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, repealing section 21.15 of the Code of Ordinances relating to the offense of requesting payment in exchange for watching parked motor vehicles, providing an effective date.
Anyone like to speak to this item? You have a motion?
Move to approve item 8.4.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. 8.5, please.
We next have ordinance number 9679-23, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, repealing Chapter 30, Article 6 of the Code of Ordinances relating to cruising control, providing an effective date.
Anyone want to speak to this item? You have a motion?
Move to approve agenda item 8.5.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. 8.6, please.
Next, we have ordinance number 9680-23, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending Chapter 22, Article 1 and 2, providing a definition for electronic cigarette use regulations to prohibit smoking and vaping in city-owned public parks and beaches, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Does anyone like to speak to this item?
I just want to say thank you. Yay, I'm so happy this is passing. This is a wonderful ordinance. I can't tell you how many times I've sat down on the beach and had a great spot, looking out at the view. Somebody comes along 20 minutes later, I've already paid for my tent, and they start smoking and it blows towards me. So I'm so happy. I only wish it included cigars, but I'm so happy. And from an environmental perspective, also, hooray. Thanks so much. Great.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, do we have a motion?
Move to approve agenda item 8.6.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. 8.7, please.
We now have ordinance number 9689-23, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, making amendments to the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 22, Parks, Beaches, Recreation by amending Article 2, Use Regulations, and Article 3, Special Events, to clarify, revise, and modify existing articles and sections, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Would anyone like to speak to this item? Do you have a motion?
Motion to approve agenda item 8.7.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. 8.8, please.
Ordinance number 9690-23, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending Chapter 2, Article 5, Division 3, Employees Pension Plan, amending Section 2.414, Participation, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for severability, providing for repealer, and providing for an effective date.
Does anyone like to speak to this item? Do you have a motion?
Move to approve item 8.8.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. City Manager reports, 9.1.
Amend the city's fiscal year 2022-23 operating and capital improvement budgets at mid-year and pass ordinances 9687-23 and 9688-23 on first reading.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Kayleen Castle, Budget Director. This is the mid-year budget review for the fiscal year 23 budget. I went over this report with you on Monday, but I want to point out that the attachments tonight are slightly different from what you had on Monday. I found a typo in the general fund summary and the operating ordinance exhibit. All totals and amendments remain unchanged. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, comments? Anyone want to speak to this item? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve agenda item 9.1.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mayor, I still
Unanimous.
need to read this.
Oh, sorry.
Ordinance number 9687-23 is an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the operating budget for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2023, to reflect increases and decreases in revenues and expenditures for the General Fund, Special Program Fund, Solid Waste and Recycling Fund, and Air Park Fund as provided herein, providing an effective date. And next up, we have ordinance number 9688-23, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the capital improvement budget for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2023, to reflect an increase of $1,087,961, providing an effective date.
Okay. Now do we have a motion?
What was it?
Sorry?
What was it?
Well, we
It was
need to
you.
call the question, right?
Okay, move to approve agenda item 9.1.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Okay. Next item, please. 9.2.
Select 1 of 3 concepts for the proposed new City Hall project.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tara
Good evening.
Kivet, City Engineer. At Monday's work session, Wanamaker Jensen Architect Team presented 3 different options to you for the proposed City Hall. The first option was a small connected new City Hall construction connected to the MSB, where staff would also remain in the MSB. Option 2 was a standalone City Hall in the parcel south of the MSB, again where staff would continue to operate out of the MSB in addition to the new City Hall. And option 3 was a much larger civic center where we would repurpose the MSB, and that would be constructed on the lot just south of the MSB. So tonight we ask that you let us know your preference based on the overall concepts. Again, not necessarily the aesthetics, because we can work on that moving forward, but just let us know what option you would prefer.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone from the public that wants to speak to this item?
Mike Mastroserio. I'm a citizen of Clearwater. I saw all three concepts, and I really like number 2 better. I think most of you did too. But at the same time, I question the fact that why are we only given 3 different looks from the same company versus other opportunities, just like we did for the Bluffs and everything else. There's other architects out there that might offer something that's different or innovative, because a lot of those 3 things crossed over and look the same. And I'm just curious, and that's an unanswered question, but I don't know if there's a contract with the engineers now, that's the one, or if there's opportunity to see something new and bright. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kivett, do you want to answer that?
Tara Kivett, city engineer. The way we approach our capital projects and following our procurement guidelines, we put out an RFQ based on qualifications for a design and engineering firm. We select that. We then bring a work order forward to hire that firm with their design fees. And so we did that with Wanamaker Jensen Architects. So they are the architect who is designing the building. So our chance to look at other firms was during the selection process. And we selected who we thought was the most qualified firm.
All right, thank you for that explanation. All right, anyone else from the public want to speak to this? All right, I'm going to get this started.
And we do have members from the Wanamaker Jensen Architect team
Okay,
here
we have any
also to
questions?
help answer questions.
Okay. All right, I'll take the liberty of starting this. I like option 2. I think that's what I will support. And I don't really have any other questions after the work session. I think things were described pretty adequately. And anyway, yes, sir.
I go with option 2 as well.
Yes.
Can I make a motion?
Go for it.
You're up.
Okay. I make a motion to adopt concept 2 and move forward with design concepts.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous. Okay, one thing I want to bring up, I mentioned this to the city manager, and I'm going to kind of spring this on you now. I think when we get this city hall designed and built, that we should name it after Biltmore for everything he's done for the city. And I think we should get with Loretta and see what she wants, but I think she called him William, and that the William B. Horn City Hall would be appropriate and fitting for someone who served this city as dedicated and honorably as he did for the better part of 23 years. Any discussion?
Good.
Yeah, I think we, several years ago, right after he passed, I think we did talk about the same thing, so I think that'd be a real good thing to do. He was with us for over 20 years here, so.
Well, as a city manager, and he was assistant city manager back in '99 when I got sworn in, so he was, Anyway, anyone else want to chime in?
I appreciate the suggestion, and I think it's a great one.
I would agree. I would hope that we would put it on an agenda so the public can weigh in.
Okay, that's fine.
Agreed.
Okay. Is that what we need to do as far as protocol vote on this, or can we just?
I mean, I would say that would be direction for us to put it on the agenda.
Right.
Okay, that's fine.
We'll do that. We'll
That's
get it on
fine.
the agenda for July.
Okay, sounds good. Any other discussion on this item? All right, let's move on. Let's see, where are we here? Yes, ma'am.
If I may, we have an update from Ford Pinellas and some possible updates in terms of representation, if I could just ask.
Okay, certainly. Certainly.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, Council. Just indulge me for a couple of minutes here. We're going to, we've been asked by Ford Pinellas to consider some input in their reapportionment process. After every decennial census, they have to go through an apportionment. This year, they've started that. Some of the smaller cities have asked for a seat on the board. And I think Ford Pinellas is open to considering that. However, obviously, that expansion dilutes a little bit of the voting block. Being one of the larger cities, we have currently a vote. St. Petersburg has 2 votes. Pinellas, I think, has 3, the county. What Forward Pinellas is going to recommend is that St. Petersburg be expanded, get a 3rd vote. We have an opportunity tomorrow to be advocates administratively on the behalf of the city of Clearwater for us to be expanded to 2 votes. And so we're preparing to advocate that on behalf of the city. I wanted to bring this to you tonight, to your attention, let you know that we're going to be doing that, and we will keep you updated on how that reapportionment goes.
Okay, sounds good. Any questions or comments, Mr. Delco, regarding that? Yes, sir.
Yeah, we talked about this a couple of meetings ago, had a very lively discussion about it. Tarpon is pushing, they're a shared vote, and, you know, the representation is based on the percentage of population that each city has. Of course, St. Pete is the biggest, but, you know, Clearwater's the second biggest. We have one representative, and we really should have two based on our population. So I think it's a good thing going forward, and I'm glad the city's in back of that.
Yeah. We'll let you know how that goes.
Okay. Anything else on that? All right, anything else?
That's it, thank you.
Okay, city attorney reports.
Nothing right now, sir.
City council action 11.1. You're up.
Okay, so I hope this is the last time we have this.
You're batting cleanup with the bases loaded.
So I actually reviewed the tape, and I wanted to really absorb what everybody was saying. And so with Councilmember Albritton, you were talking about the fact that we've been discussing this for almost, 3 decades? And I was speaking to some of the former charter review board members, and they agreed that they've been talking for so long. And so I agree with that. There's been some discussion about whether it's going to move the needle, or it was much less than we had anticipated. And I believe that was a comment from you guys. And so I want to address that. I want to be sensitive to everyone. And so I acknowledge that it may not move the needle for most, but we cannot dismiss that it can move the needle for some. And I want to be sensitive to that, because we are asking for an increase of $72,000 over a 4-year commitment. And for some, that is substantial, and we need to respect that. I know that Councilmember Beckman, you were saying that it's not enough for you to give our support, so I would like to give you the opportunity of expressing what number are you thinking of? I wanted to give you that opportunity to express that before we proceed.
Well, I appreciate, the intention of adding more diversity to the council, but I would like a more holistic approach. So if we're going to talk numbers and salary, I'd also like to talk the benefits of districts and how that impacts who runs, because I certainly am a huge champion of having diversity on the council, but I don't think in doing it just in isolation with a salary, I would prefer and would advocate for looking at it more holistically. How are we really going to achieve a better chance of diversity? And I think we need to equally consider districts at the same time.
We instructed the charter to do this, and they came back with a suggestion. They are looking at those two items separately, and I would like to honor the fact that we did direct them to make this decision, and they did. So I am ready to make a motion to move forward and ask staff to direction to change the ordinance. I don't know if anyone else is, but do we need any more discussion? Because I'm willing to make a motion.
Well, I just think, too, and I talked to some people about this, because this came up back in 99, 2000, when I was here first, and we haven't done really anything since. I think it's time. It's not going to move the needle tremendously, but it's going to be enough that then we have a starting point, and then maybe we get to another point 4, 5, 6 years down the road where it is competitive enough where someone feels like they can do this full-time. And so I'd be in favor of starting the council, moving the council salary to $45,000 and the mayor to $49,000, if that's the will of the council, the majority of the council. Because I think you have to move it somewhere to get it going, and then we have to instruct. I talked with the city attorney about this, about how we do raises every year, what we base that on. I think we, instruct the staff to come back with recommendations of whether they tie it to the consumer price index, or whether it's just a flat 3% every year, or whether it's based on what the general employees get every year, percentage-wise, or whatever, and go from there, so that we do it correctly the first time out of the gate. But those are my thoughts, and that's what I'm willing to support at this point in time. Anyone else want to talk about it?
Yeah, I would support it as well. I think the
moving into the discussion about districts is a lot more complicated at this point, because I don't know if I would support that. I know we've talked about that for years too on the charter review. I'd be curious to see what this charter review comes up with. But I've got my own feelings about why that's hard in Clearwater, just the way that we're laid out. But, I'd like to see some younger people be able to feel, if they're raising a family, have the time and the money to be able to serve their city. So I'd be for it.
Okay, any other discussion? Anyone else?
So I'll make the motion to direct staff to modify ordinance to change the salaries to 45 for council and 49 for mayor. And then would you like to ask for staff's input for the COLA? Or, yeah?
Yes, sir.
If I may, so a couple different ways we could approach this. One way to approach this, and my preferred option, would be for council to discuss amongst yourselves how you would like to calculate future price increases or wage increases. The main options, as the mayor said, really, and there may be others, but the three that came to my mind, in no particular order. One option would be to tie it to a particular index, such as the Consumer Price Index. That's how Social Security works. Option number two, again, no particular order, would be to specify a fixed percentage in the ordinance, so it would increase by X percentage each year. And option number three, again, no particular order, would be to tie it to the general wage increase that's given to non-bargaining employees each year. There may be other configurations too, but in the ordinance, I will have to specify something. If council does not specify, theoretically, we could just do an ordinance now, which will be effective March of 2024, as required by the city charter. However, if we do that and there's no direction in the ordinance as to future increases, then it will be stuck and frozen at 45 and 49 for eternity until council takes some future action. So my preference would be that the council give some direction now, because otherwise you're going to have to revisit that issue in the months ahead.
I think the fairest one is to tie it in with staff. Whatever the non-bargaining staff gets, it would be fair and equitable and fair across the board. What are your thoughts?
I'm fine with that.
That would be the fairest one?
To me, whatever everyone else wants.
We're
Do I-
doing COLA now, right? Basically.
I hesitate to use that term only because it can mean different things in different contexts.
Yeah.
The context in which we use that term currently is only in the context of our pension plan.
Yeah.
In the context of our pension plan, we do have a COLA for employees, but for our active employees, I don't think we've used necessarily that term, unless Jennifer says.
Yeah, no, we call it a general wage increase, but I think if I might, correct me if I'm wrong, you're talking about is how the council salaries are adjusted currently.
Yes.
And so it's tied to the index. Currently, that's how it's done. So that is different than what the general wage increase that, we bring forward through the budget process. So you could leave it as is, which is tied to that index, or you could tie it to, what the general employees, non-bargaining.
All right. That
So
makes
you
sense.
continue as is, then, right, with the index, as is right now.
Yes, I'm just saying, I think what he was saying is to make sure you.
Understand.
Yeah, since we are making a change to the
articulate that
salaries, that
now.
you have it articulated in terms of how the salaries will move.
Okay, what's everybody, do we have a consensus on that, or?
As is?
My rent was jacked up $100 this month, and I could use this. But I'm keenly aware that there are a lot of people in Clearwater that need it as much or more than what I do. So I'm going to vote no, respectfully.
But that's not the question right now. Is if
the
it passes,
COLA?
what is the wage increase every year, annually, or whatever? What's it tied to? Do you want to tie it to the same thing we have now, the Consumer Price Index? We've been doing that. I guess it's been working. Is that okay?
Yeah. Whatever you guys want.
Okay.
I'm not going to weigh in on that. Since
Okay. All right.
Do I have to say it over again?
A motion will need
Okay.
to be made that includes the full.
So I make a motion to direct staff to modify ordinance to change city council salary to $45,000 for council and $49,000 for mayor, and to keep annual salary increases as is right now. the method, whatever, I'm sorry.
Under the index?
Yes, correct.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 3-2 with Councilmember Beckman and Vice Mayor Bunker voting no.
Mayor, to follow up on that, so I will bring that then as an ordinance based on the majority direction. We may not make the next council meeting, but that's okay because it's not going to go into effect until
Not gonna
March
go into effect
anyway.
till next year anyway,
So
yeah.
we may not make it till August, but no big deal. Everyone has said their piece, and we'll bring that forward in August.
Darn, I was looking forward to buying an extra cup of coffee every week now, too. That's why I'm waiting. All right, closing comments. Let's start over with, oh, yes, ma'am, go ahead. I'm sorry, I should have called you. That's fine, go ahead.
I just want to clarify, does that go to referendum?
No.
Doesn't have to go to referendum? Okay. Well, I could see if we didn't have enough candidates running for office, but that's not the problem. You know, we have ample people running for office, and the hours that you keep for these meetings, it's going to have to be a retired person anyway. And $45,000 is not going to cut it in Clearwater. There was an article today, $85,000 is what you need to earn for rent in the Tampa Bay area. That sounds extra crazy to me, but I don't know. It was in the paper today. What could I say? So $45,000 isn't really going to do anything. It's really a part-time job. I really wish, always have hoped that you would rely more on the professional staff and the city manager and her 3 assistant city managers. And basically you're here to, let them do their job, and 90% of the time, in my opinion, you should really approve whatever they're suggesting with, maybe some tweaks. But I just don't see any need for this. The average state employee, full-time state employee, is not making this much money. What did you say, 47,000? I don't know, I was half listening, but I'm really against it. And again, don't want to reiterate, your meetings are all held during time when a working person can't make them anyway. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. Unless you're willing to, like Mr. Bunker, and even me when I was a government employee, it's a choice you make. You're not going to be driving around in Teslas or brand new cars. I had one car for 20 years, and my daughter said, Mom, I'm the only one that I know who's been in the same car for 20 years. I said, well, oh well. I chose to be a public servant. It was my choice. So I really, I don't approve of this at all, and that's just my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Closing comments. Councilmember Beckman, you start, please.
Sure. Well, this morning I started bright and early with an 8 a.m. pre-opening tour of Coachman Park. Kat Corcoran and Eric Santiago, I wanted to thank them for escorting a group of about 10 of us through the park and giving some background information. It is absolutely stunning. There's something for everyone. It looks like it is going to open on time with everything working, and it's just beautiful. And I heard you climb through the playground tunnel. Yeah, I didn't do that because it looked like we had some storm clouds coming in, and probably other reasons, but it looks fantastic. I went on our webpage today to check out the ease of navigating how to get down to the park and where to park. And so I'd urge people to check out the ferry, the Jolly Trolley, buses, carpooling. We do have a number of public parking facilities around the park, parking garages, check those out. But plan ahead. It's going to be a wonderful grand opening week. So we're not going to be back together until like July 20th. In this room for meetings. So I wanted to say, I hope to see you at the grand opening weekend celebrations in the park on the 4th of July with the Florida Orchestra. And we have the beginning of summer on the 21st. So be safe, have fun, and drive carefully, and we'll see you in July.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
I didn't crawl through the tunnel. I actually climbed up the ropes that make up the mast of the ship.
Did you climb up the ropes?
Boy, it was exciting. I got to tell you, it's a really nice playground for the kids. And what I saw, which was a month or more ago, was just spectacular. And I'm getting my updated tour in a few days. So I can't wait for it to open. Also, I'm looking forward to some of the Juneteenth festivities this weekend. I'll certainly be attending the movie tomorrow night. And take a look at the troubled home. There's, you know, you said you got a neighbor who's a Scientologist, who's a good guy, I believe that. And another one who's, you know, little trouble, that sounds about right. Whether they're Scientologists or not, I'll be happy to come out and take a look and see what I can do for you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am, you're up.
So let me start off with Juneteenth. I'm very honored and excited and a little bit nervous because Jennifer Poirier and I myself will be doing the catwalk this weekend in Juneteenth's fashion show along with other city staff. So I'm very excited and nervous about that. I designed Miss Jennifer's headpiece, so she's going to look beautiful. Yesterday I attended the Imagine Clearwater open house, and I was so impressed with Kat, the landscape architect. She is infectious. She's one of those people that truly love what she does, and it just oozes out of her. And so very, very excited and happy to have her on our team, and very proud to have her on our team. She did a great job. Speaking of Imagine Clearwater, I had my own tour as well, and I became very emotional because this is a conversation that I have been having with so many people for so many years, and to see it come to life is almost surreal. And there were so many things I was impressed with, from the solar panels to the lounge chairs, the Adirondack chairs, the pond that already has a duck family in there. This is something that so many people worked so hard for. And there were times where we lost hope, and I'm so glad we didn't. And we finally have something that joins us all together and makes this downtown for everyone, visitors and citizens alike. And I'm just over the moon, and I'm very happy about it.
Thank you. Mr. Robert.
Well, I've got to say the same thing everybody's been saying. I got to tell you, we got 13 days to go to the opening of something that I've been thinking about for, it's been 8 years, and there were times where I didn't think this was going to happen. And, but, thank you for all the people that worked hard, kept the vision. Imagine Clearwater was a great name because it was real easy to imagine how we would really take one little park down there and expand it on the bay, and done a beautiful job. We're going to be, you won't know, you're not going to realize until it opens how this is going to impact this whole area. They're going to be so jealous of Clearwater because we got the best bayfront around. So 13 more days. I hope everybody joins us in the celebration. We got ribbon cutting on the 28th, and then on the 4th of July, we'll have fireworks again down here. It's going to be spectacular. I'm looking forward to it. The other thing I want to say is I want to give kudos to Lena Teixeira for bringing this item up for council getting a little more pay. We've been talking about this, beyond when I was on council. It goes way back, and it's a hard thing to do because nobody wants to say, I think we should get more money, and so it always dies because it's always brought up in an election year or coming on to an election year. We've got 3 people running another election this year for council. 3 of us up here are running again. So it gets a little scary, but I'm glad that we finally moved forward on it. So I think I think a lot of people have been thinking for a long time, probably should do this, and I'm glad that you stood your ground and at least we're making headway on it. The other thing I wanted to say is, we're not having a meeting till mid-July, so I know a lot of people are going to take vacations, so please be safe on the road, and look forward to seeing you back here next month.
Thank you. And, I will piggyback on that. You've probably seen, like I did 8 or 9 media visits recently. I probably sound like a broken record, but, I've been fortunate to travel a lot. I've never seen anything like Coachman Park anywhere in the world that I've been, that has everything, something for everybody on a waterfront. It's just spectacular. And when you go through there before everything's done, you look at it and say, oh, it looks pretty cool. But then when it's done, you're like, wow. I mean, I had the Times come out and go, wow, this is an experience. I said, it's going to be a destination. It's going to be a destination in and of its own, not just when there's a concert, but it's going to be a destination. And when we program the lawn with activities on a regular basis, then you're going to have people coming downtown and parking and walking through the downtown area, the restaurants and retail, and hopefully that's going to attract a lot more. So I am overly impressed. I had nothing to do with this one, but we did dream about it and try to get it done in 2001. So I'm glad we kept pushing, and everyone had the wherewithal to get this done over the years, pass a referendum, and I'm just very, very pleased that this ended up happening the way it did. And I want to just say we've had some good meetings. We're going to have a little more than a month off. Hopefully everybody gets rested up for the rest of the year and has a safe 4th of July and holiday if you're traveling. And I appreciate all the public input and discussion, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys at the end of July. Take care.
I was teared up.